Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back with your instant reaction to Aston Villa 2, Brighton 2. And for anyone hoping for a repeat of last season's 6-1 victory against Brighton, well, it certainly wasn't like that this time round. Very, very end to end. Two teams that were struggling, I would say, at the back and causing a lot of problems for themselves and ultimately cancelling each other out. And I do think a draw was probably a fair result. Both teams will probably point to chances that they missed, chances that they didn't quite capitalise on, opportunities that they certainly didn't capitalise on, but ultimately a 2-2 draw. Make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and help us on the road to 5K. Get your comments in as well, your thoughts on the performance. That I think, while there were some positives in the performance, there was some excellent play. There was also some of the old habits that Villa can't seem to shake off, and some of these problems that are just continuously coming through in Aston Villa's team this season. And we'll go into them as this reaction goes on. But in terms of the starting lineup, Martinez in goal. We knew we had to make some changes because of the suspensions, as we probably expected. Ezri Konsa at right back, which I'll come on to a little bit later. Diego Carlos and Pau Torres at centre back. Luca Dean at left back. And Tielemans and Kamara as that midfield, central midfield partnership. McGinn, Bailey and Rodgers ahead of him, and Ollie Watkins up front. And we'll start off, as we know, with this problem that seems to be just haunting Aston Villa at the moment, this conceding early goals and not really starting as quickly as we want to. Yes, we started fast against Brentford, but other than that, and also obviously Man City as well, which was great, but this problem has just been haunting Villa all season, and we just couldn't get into our groove early on. We were trying to keep possession of the ball. We were trying to keep control of it, but we're just susceptible to this early goal. And after 12 minutes, just one hopeful long ball upfield, and somehow Ezri Konsa's caught underneath it, and somehow Diego Carlos is caught underneath it, and Simon Adingra and João Pedro are both running onto the ball. Adingra is the one who manages to muscle Ezri Konsa out the way. Again, Villa's defence at 6s and 7s. Luca Dean's trying to come across and cover. Pau Torres is trying to come across and cover. A little touch inside from Adingra, and he just places it into the bottom corner. No chance for Emi Martinez. And yet again, we have a mountain to climb, and we have to try and force our way back into the game. No clean sheet again. We've only kept 2 clean sheets all season. Just absolutely disgraceful defending. And as I say, we're 1-0 down, having to fight an uphill battle. Now, to Aston Villa's credit, they did come into the game well. They did start to play more controlled football, 1 or 2 opportunities. I think it was Luca Dean had an excellent shot from the edge of the box. It was deflected. The keeper made a great save. Leon Bailey was looking sharp, getting into good positions, and ultimately his crosses weren't quite finding a man or getting blocked. But we were starting to really come into the game really well. And Morgan Rodgers, while he was a bit frustrating in that first 20 minutes, sometimes giving the ball away, sometimes trying to run straight at players, and that Baleba in that central midfield area was excellent in that first 20, 25 minutes. But Rodgers started to get more into the game, and it was ultimately from his enterprising runs that we managed to get back into the game. The first opportunity, he goes into the box, takes a touch onto the ball. He manages to bundle his way in. I think it comes off Lamptey. He takes a touch, and then Van Heck slides in. The referee deems it not to be a penalty. It takes a long VAR check, but it ultimately goes out for a corner. From that resulting corner, ball comes in. Ball's bounced around into the box. Rodgers tries to managed to get a touch onto it. João Pedro, in the motion of trying to clear it, cleans him out, kicks him from underneath his legs, and the ball's kind of cleared, but it goes back VAR check again. Craig Pawson's called to the screen, and he ultimately gives a penalty. And up steps Ollie Watkins, and he buries it into the bottom corner, sends the goalkeeper the wrong way, and Villa are back into the game. And at this point, playing really, really well. We carry on that momentum. Ollie Watkins probably should score from a corner. Great position in terms of peeling off the man, heads it over the bar. And Villa really probably could count themselves. They should be going in at 2-1 up. But yeah, we managed to go in at 1-1 and get ourselves back into the game. And then we make the perfect start to the second half. We keep that momentum going. And on 47 minutes from a corner, ball comes in the box. I think Brighton managed to clear it, but we keep it alive. I think it's maybe Kamara gets a header, puts it back into the danger area, breaks to Ollie Watkins, and on a half volley little pass, chips it over the top of the defence. Morgan Rogers and Tyrone Mings are running onto it. It's Rogers that wants the ball. He heads it down and then buries the ball into the bottom far corner with his right foot, and it's 2-1 Villa, and no more than they deserve. And Villa really did put the foot on the pedal then, starting to really run through. Bailey having opportunities, Watkins again having opportunities, John McGinn driving forward, Morgan Rogers driving forward, but we just couldn't get that goal. A couple of times Leon Bailey's in great positions to maybe shoot or lay it off, but he just can't quite get that sharpness to get that shot off. Ollie Watkins again had a header down, goalkeeper saves it, really good header this time, but goalkeeper saves it. And we just couldn't quite get that third goal. And then the second point that I want to make, the substitutions. Yes, we were forced into making a change. Tyrone Mings having to come on for the injured Pau Torres in the first half. Tyrone Mings was excellent and really did drive us on into that game. And I think his leadership and his talking helped us in that game. But it was Brighton that made the triple substitutes, and it was Mitoma, Rutter, and Yakuba Minte who came on, and they really did turn the screw. And Konsa had a torrid time at right back pretty much all game. There was a period towards the end of the first half, start of the second half, where he started to dominate, start to play well, but he had a really, really tough evening. You know, Adingra gave him a tough game, and then Mitoma coming on wasn't making it any easier for him at all. And it was Mitoma and it was Minter who really started to grab hold of the game, and Brighton pushed on 5-10 extra yards. Rutter was picking up the ball in those, as people say, pockets of space, and it was really pushing Kamara and Tielemans back, and we got more and more desperate, lost control of that midfield, and we're screaming and screaming and screaming. I was anyway, for a change in the midfield. Kamara was getting over and Tielemans was starting to give the ball away, and understandably they were starting to get tired. We have Amadou Onana, we have Ross Barkley on the bench, we had Ramsey as well on the bench, and 75 minutes he takes Bailey off and brings Ramsey on. Probably the wrong substitution to make, in my opinion, because it takes McGinn from that central area over to the right-hand side, and again makes us a bit weaker in that central area. For me, it should have been Onana and Barkley to come on, or at least one of those two, just to get some control into the game. And lo and behold, on the 81st minute, really good move by Brighton. They pull Lamptey into that midfield area to make the overload. Ramsey doesn't follow him. The ball breaks to him from a João Pedro cutback, and he buries it from the edge of the box into the bottom corner. And yes, Brighton definitely deserved it, because we couldn't capitalise. We couldn't get that third goal. They stepped on the gas. They got back into the game. We didn't make the changes. And Unai, I have to say, that game management, those substitutions, you had to make them earlier, because as soon as that goal goes in, he then makes the double substitution or the triple substitution. He brings Ian Maatsen on as well to try and inject some pace into the game, but it's too late by then, and Onana couldn't get used to the pace of the game. He probably should have been brought on 5-10 minutes earlier, and we almost lose the game because Brighton were having chances going forward. Yes, we had a couple of opportunities, but a couple of our players looked like they were running on empty. Rogers put so much into that game, into that sort of middle 60 minutes. He was running on empty. He did have an opportunity from about 25 yards, puts the ball wide. We had a good move at the end where Barkley puts Maatsen in, crosses it. He gets blocked. Then the resulting corner, pretty much the last kick of the game. Ball breaks down to Ollie Watkins. He takes a really good touch in the box, and then tried to smash it with his left foot, and he blazes it over. And really, just a bit of composure, get it on target. You never know what could happen. But like I say, I think a 2-2 draw is a fair result. And look, ultimately for both teams, struggling to find that consistency to really push them up into that top five, we have to get the result against Leicester on Saturday, because otherwise it's really important, because we're losing ground on the likes of Newcastle, obviously Fulham as well up there, Nottingham Forest up there as well, now 7 points ahead of us. And it's looking like we're really struggling to get into that top, well, certainly struggling to get into that top four. If it's fifth that gets the Champions League spot, at the moment, we don't look like anywhere near getting that position. It's looking like a top 7-ish finish for me that we'd be aiming for, unless we turn it around now. And the spectre of transfers in January, we really, really, really need reinforcements. Pau Torres is now injured, it looks like, for a while, because he was carried off the pitch. Tyrone Mings was struggling towards the end. Diego Carlos was going down. Obviously, we've got Matty Cash coming back in, but if he's your best right back, why isn't he feeling the need to use Nedeljkovic? What's the point in buying him? What's the point in keeping him around with the squad? Why didn't you send him out on loan? All these questions now. We need reinforcements. We need reinforcements at right back. We need reinforcements further forward. We need something out wide. Leon Bailey's starting to get back into some form, but he needs competition, because Philogene obviously isn't going to be used. He doesn't really fancy him to be used. Ian Matson, when's he going to start to get used more? We have to now probably dip into the market for centre-back. We need reinforcements in this team, and because otherwise I really worry about the consistency. We're conceding far too many goals. We're not necessarily scoring enough. Rodgers and Watkins again with the goals tonight. Obviously, Duran's scored some brilliant goals. Where else are our goals coming from? Tielemans hasn't scored. Onana hasn't scored for a while. McGinn hasn't scored. Ramsey now coming back to fitness. Can he get back in the goals? There's not enough goals from this team. Bailey hasn't scored this season. We really, really, really need to find some form, and find some form quick. And we also need some reinforcements. Look, ultimately, it wasn't a defeat. After a chastening defeat against Newcastle, we kind of got back and got a point on the board against Brighton, finishing this half of the season on 29 points. I want to see an improvement in that second half of the season. If we are to get anywhere near that top six, we really, really do need it. And that starts against Leicester on Saturday. They're going to be wanting to get back into winning ways. They played well against Man City, so they're going to be a tough side. We've got a few players out. Rodgers is now suspended. I'm sure Pau Torres is going to be out. So some of these players are going to have to come in and really, really step up. Is Tyrone Mings going to be able to play back-to-back games? So we are looking like we're down to the bare bones at the minute. We in certain positions that we needed to strengthen, and that is really, really worrying. Let me know in the comments. We'll be back with probably a full match reaction with the boys later on this week, possibly tomorrow. We'll also be back with Talking Tactics. I'm also going to be doing a show, hopefully every day, on talking transfers around, transfer talk show, just around, the rumours that are flying. One or two other players that seem to be doing the rounds at the moment. Obviously, Louis Barry coming back. Is he going to be able to feature? So I'm going to try and do a daily show on that. We'll also have preview for Leicester coming up. So loads of shows to come up. Make sure you smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, help us on the road to 5K. We're so close. We're just over 100 away. So you guys can help us get there. Give me your thoughts on the man of the match tonight. It's difficult to say. I thought Rodgers got into the game, then faded. I thought McGinn was pretty good tonight. I thought Tielemans was okay. Gave the ball away a little bit towards the end, but I thought he was okay. And but yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts on man of the match tonight. Ultimately disappointing. When you're 2-1 up, you've got to see the game out. But I do think a draw was a fair result. But we really, really, really need to sort out this defence and sort out this consistency and this game management. There's so many of the same problems keep creeping up on Villa. But look, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching. And as always, remember, we all follow the Villa.